Hi everyone, I'm Satomi from Japan Bread Baking Class. I run hands-on bread classes in Tokyo where we have lots of fun baking together. Today, I'll show you how to make oat and seed shokupan. Adding seeds can sometimes make the dough hard and dense. But today, I'll share some tips to keep your loaf light and fluffy. Let's get started. Before mixing the ingredients, we need to adjust their temperature. Our goal is to keep the final dough temperature around 26 to 28 degrees, which is ideal for yeast activity and consistent fermentation. Now it's summer in Japan and the room temperature is around 27 degrees, so I use cold or ice liquid below 5 degrees. But when it's winter, the room temperature is around 20 degrees, so I warm the wet ingredients to about 38 degrees. Be careful not to heat the liquids over 40 degrees as it can damage the yeast. Once you adjust the liquid temperature, let's move on to mixing. In the bowl of a stand mixer, combine the dry ingredients. Add the black flour. To get a fluffy texture, it's best to use flour with a high protein content. Then, add the sugar, salt, instant dry yeast, and skim milk powder. Since we are adding seeds today, the dough might not develop gluten as strongly as usual. So instead of using whole milk, I'm using skimmed milk powder to help the gluten form better. That's because whole milk has lactose, which is a type of sugar in milk, and lactose can make it harder for the gluten to develop properly. Before start kneading, mix the dry ingredients with a spatula so they absorb the liquid evenly. Then add the water. I even added a few ice cubes to keep the dough temperature down. Mix the ingredients with a spatula again, as this helps bring everything together quickly. Attach the dough hook to your stand mixer and set the bowl in place. Start mixing on low speed until no dry flour remains. If you are using a KitchenAid like I am, the low speed is level 2. Then knead on medium speed, which is level 4, for about 8 to 10 minutes until the dough becomes stretchy. In the beginning, the dough may stick to the bottom of the bowl. That's normal because the gluten hasn't developed yet. Avoid adding more flour at this stage or the dough may become stiff and dense later, especially when you're adding things like seeds that soak up moisture. It's better to make your dough a bit more hydrated than usual. After about 10 minutes of kneading, the dough becomes stretchy. At this stage, the dough is still sticky, but it'll be tacky as you continue kneading. Add the softened butter to the dough. Fat like butter can hinder gluten development, so we add it at this stage. Continue kneading on medium speed for another 10 to 12 minutes until the dough becomes smooth and elastic. Now it's been almost 12 minutes. The dough may look sticky, but now again, the seeds we will add later will absorb some of the moisture, so this is totally fine. Let's do a window pane test to check if the gluten has developed enough. Stretch a small piece of dough between your fingers. If it stretches thin and nearly transparent without tearing, it's ready. If it tears, knead for 5 more minutes and test again. Before adding oat and seeds, take the dough out of the bowl and do the slam and fold method. Lift one side of the dough and gently slam it onto the work surface, stretching it as you go. Then fold it over itself. This helps strengthen the dough by stretching the gluten, which makes the bread rise better and gives it a soft, fluffy texture inside. There's one thing to be careful. If you hold the dough with your thumbs, you may damage the dough. So try to hold with the base of your thumbs. Repeat this about 20 to 30 times to build a strong gluten network. Now it's time to incorporate the seeds. Place the dough back into the mixer bowl and add the seeds. Knead on lowest speed for 1 to 2 minutes just until the seeds are evenly distributed. Today I'm using a packet of mixed seeds that contains oats, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and flax seeds. Feel free to use your favorite seeds, but be careful. If the seeds are too big, they might disturb the gluten and make it harder for the bread to rise properly. If the seeds don't mix in well, stop the mixer and knead them in by hand. Remove the dough and shape it into a smooth ball. Make sure the dough ball has good surface tension. Check the dough temperature. If it's around 26 to 28 degrees, it's perfect. Fermentation time can change depending on how warm your dough and environment are. For more details about the first rise, please check the description box below. Place the dough into a bowl. Cover it with a damp towel and let it rise in warm place until it's more than double in size. Now the dough has expanded. My dough temperature was at 28 degrees and it took about 40 minutes in a 35 degrees proofer. To check if it's proofed perfectly, lightly dust the center with flour and gently press your finger into the dough. If the dent stays and bubbles appear on the surface, it's ready. If not, let the dough proof a bit longer. Lightly dust the top with flour if the surface is sticky, and gently place the dough to release the gas. This top surface will now be the outside of the shaped dough because it helps the dough hold gas better and gives the bread a smooth, even finish after baking. Remove the dough from the bowl and place the dough into an oval shape, then divide it into 3 equal pieces. By doing so, we make it easier to keep the top surface on the outside when shaping each piece later. Shape it into a smooth and tight ball by folding it 3 times first, keeping the smooth side out. Then tuck the sides underneath to create surface tension on top. Cover the dough with a damp towel and let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes until it feels soft and relaxed. Meanwhile, grease your loaf pan with butter or spray oil. Now it's been 15 minutes. When you poke the side of the dough, it should bounce back slowly and the dent should remain. This means it's ready to shape. Take one piece for shaping and cover the remaining dough balls to prevent them from drying out. Place the dough seam side down and flatten it with your palm. Then roll it out into an oval with a rolling pin. Flip the dough over and shape it into like a rectangle. Fold the top and bottom edges toward the center so they slightly overlap. Rotate the dough 90 degrees and gently roll it out again to make it slightly longer. Press the edges of the dough gently with your palm to release the gas. Make sure the width of the dough is shorter than the width of the pan. Then roll it up from the top, creating surface tension. Try not to roll it too loosely or too tightly. Seal the end of the roll well. Repeat with the other 2 pieces. If shaping takes a while, it's best to shape 3 pieces at the same time. Otherwise, especially during summer, the shaped dough may overproof as it waits. Spread the surface lightly with water and place it into the seed mix. Place them seam side down into the loaf pan. Make sure all 3 rolls are rolled in the same direction. Cover the pan with plastic wrap or shower cap. Let it rise in warm place until the dough is expanded. I'll explain later how to tell if your dough has proofed correctly. Preheat your oven to 210 degrees about 30 minutes before baking. Now the dough has expanded. This is how to check if the dough is properly proofed. Poke the top of the dough with your floured finger. If the dough springs back slowly and the dent remains, it's ready to bake. Sprinkle some water on the top. Lower the oven temperature to 190 degrees and bake for 25 to 30 minutes until the top is golden brown. If the surface starts to brown too quickly, cover it with aluminum foil or lower the temperature to 180 degrees. After baking, tap the pan to release steam. Remove the bread from the pan and let it cool completely on a wire rack. Once the bread is completely cooled down, use the bread knife to slice it. Lay the loaf on each side and slice it nicely starting from the bottom corner. This bread is soft, fluffy, and full of healthy seeds. It's perfect for breakfast or for making sandwiches. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this fluffy oat and seed shokupan recipe. If you want to try more shokupan recipes, please check out my other videos too. See you in the next video. Happy baking!